I'm not uploading this for clicks. I'm not even sure I should be saying anything at all. But if you've come across the link already, maybe it's too late for silence to help. You've probably seen it. Just a nameless file passed around on Discord servers and Reddit threads, always buried between memes and cursed videos. Someone dares someone else to open it, to see if it's real. If you haven't yet, good, stay that way. Don't search for it. Don't ask for it. And for the love of whatever you still believe in, don't download anything that claims to know you. It'll sound like an urban legend, another internet boogeyman for insomniacs and clickbait narrators to chew on. That's exactly why I thought it was safe. The story goes that the game tailors itself to your personality. Not like those AI text adventures, more like it remembers what you've done online. It talks back, uses your tone, laughs at your inside jokes. Some say it rewards you for confessing things you've never told anyone. That's supposed to be the fun part. When I first heard about it, I thought it was a stunt, a social experiment. I laughed at the warnings, the melodramatic posts about people disappearing. Everyone online disappears eventually, right? I didn't believe in haunted code or digital demons. I do now, because the game didn't just learn about me, it already knew. It knew what I searched last night. It started in a group chat that barely qualifies as a friend circle anymore. Mostly late-night Deegans tossing memes, glitches, and try not to sleep after this files at each other. Someone dropped a link with the caption, "New Yargi dropped." Tailors itself to your darkest curiosity. I remember rolling my eyes. Every few months, some wannabe puppet master launches a gimmick game claiming to read your mind through metadata. Boring. Watch it be adware dressed as a ghost story. I typed, earning a flood of laugh reacts. Still, curiosity does what curiosity always does. I clicked. The site looked professional, too professional. Empty white background, single line of text at the top. Welcome, user. No branding, no buttons. Then the text pulsed, almost breathing. A ripple passed under the cursor as I hovered. Beneath it, the words shimmered into a new message. Nice to see you again. First and last name. I froze. Part of me admired the clever scripting. Another part wanted to clear my browsing history and move to a remote mountaintop. But logic won the argument. Anyone can scrape data, right? I told myself it was just a trick pulling info from my social media somehow. I scrolled down. The download button wasn't labeled. It was just a black square. Beneath it, faint text flickered in and out like a glitching subtitle. Most people who cheat the game get replaced. I showed a screenshot to the chat. Someone replied, "LMAO, do it. Be our test subject." And because I'm a fool who has built his identity on proving things aren't scary, I hit download. The progress bar crawled forward, slower than dial-up, humming beneath my speakers like a heartbeat. When it finally reached 100%, the screen flooded white before fading into a single, perfectly centered phrase. "Welcome back, Tony. We've missed what you've been searching for." When I opened the file, the screen bloomed with pixel art, old school, 8-bit colors, like some lost cartridge from the 90s. A warm synth loop played in the background, a nostalgic lullaby that almost made me laugh. This was what everyone was afraid of. It looked like a hobbyist project, nothing more sinister than a kid's retro homage. The title screen said simply, "The game." No menu, no credits, just a blinking prompt. Press any key. I did, expecting a jump scare. Nothing, Just a plain little avatar wandering across tiled terrain, clouds drifting lazily overhead. I moved around, exploring a virtual meadow, collecting meaningless orbs. For 10 minutes, pure boredom. Then I noticed the first personal thing. My avatar passed a house labeled Searches. Inside were floating words, familiar fragments, late-night questions I'd typed into Google. Harmless stuff at first. Why does coffee make me anxious? How to fix screen flicker? But then it scrolled deeper, and there they were, the ones I'd deleted from history. Private, shame-tinged, only at 3a.m. Searches. I felt something twist in my chest. I convinced myself it was reading local cache files, some privacy-violating script. Creepy, but explainable. I kept playing, desperate to prove it wasn't supernatural. The next house was called Memories. When I entered, 4 pixel portraits hovered in the air, my ex, my parents, my dog, my own face. Each flickered as if waiting to load the next image. That's when I heard it, the faint whisper buried under the synth loop. I didn't notice it right away, not until much later, but it was there all along, threading between the notes. I told myself it was clever sound design. A coincidence. Data scraping. Anything but what it felt like. The game recognizing me. I tapped escape to quit. Nothing happened. The avatar stopped moving while the edges of the screen began to throb, dimming like a heartbeat losing strength. The soft chiptune slowed, distorting into an almost human hum. Then new text appeared across the top. You can't leave yet. We haven't shown you the mirror level. The screen faded from that pulsing darkness into something too familiar, my own desktop. Same wallpaper, same clutter of screenshots and half-finished projects. For a split second, I thought the game had crashed and kicked me back to my operating system. Then my webcam light blinked on. In the center of the screen, a small window opened, showing me in real time, slumped in my chair, illuminated by the monitor's pale glow. Inside that window stood my pixel avatar, a perfect miniature mimic of my movements, even matching the nervous tap of my fingers on the desk. Only, there was a delay. A couple of seconds at first, then longer. I lifted a hand to test it. My avatar lifted its hand too, jerky, late, almost reluctant. I laughed, but it came out thin. Nice trick, I muttered. The avatar's mouth moved, but the sound that followed wasn't my voice. It whispered, slightly off-pitch, "Stop copying me." The words hung in my room. I felt something coil low in my gut. I leaned closer to the screen. The avatar tilted its head toward mine. Then it smiled, too wide, too ready, and began to type on a tiny, digital keyboard that appeared beneath it. Letters spooled across my screen like a chat log. You searched it. You wanted this. Each line stole breath from my lungs. I whispered, "That's not funny," half expecting an unseen friend to jump onto the chat and claim credit to end the prank. No one did. The avatar kept typing, faster now, spilling fragments of my guilt. Unspoken thoughts, searches I regretted, exact timestamps. Things that existed only in my private browsing tabs. Then its window maximized, filling the whole screen. My reflection looked back at me inside the game's pixel filter, my own face broken into shades of wrong color, eyes too dark, mouth twitching one frame ahead of my real expression. It didn't just show me. It predicted me. All I could think about was the red webcam light burning at the top of the monitor. Was it recording? Live streaming? Feeding everything to the same void that had spat this program into existence? I smashed at the keys. Escape, Alt F4, even the power button. The cursor froze, yet the hum of my PC deepened, the air thickening with a low static heat. My lights flickered overhead. The reflection on the screen whispered something I wish I hadn't heard. 2 syllables that sounded exactly like my name, before the whole room pulsed white. When I woke up, my room looked perfectly ordinary. No flickering lights, no pulsating screens, no whispers sneaking through the speakers. Classic structure, right? Night of terror followed by the calm. Sunlit, it was just a dream reset. Every cheap creepypasta does it. I even laughed about that while making breakfast, convincing myself I'd just had a particularly high-definition nightmare with bonus paranoia. First thing I did was delete the folder. Every file, every trace of that cursed game, gone. Emptied the recycle bin for good measure, because apparently superstition is my new antivirus. The machine hummed along like nothing had ever happened. For a few blessed hours, the world pretended to be normal again. Then the quirks began. When I opened my browser, the search bar auto-filled with half-sentences I'd never typed. How to bury what you can't see? Is guilt physical? Who's watching now? My stomach nodded. I switched to my phone to check messages. The camera light pulsed once, blink, then stayed dark. I told myself phones do that when opening an app, but it didn't stop the sweat crawling down my neck. That afternoon, my playlist shuffled on its own and landed on a song I hadn't downloaded. Just low instrumental static fading into a voice, mine, whispering a sentence I'll never repeat. I slammed the laptop shut, more angry than scared. I thought deleting the files would help. That's when the game went offline, but not off. It was as if every device in my reach remembered me differently. Notifications arrived from apps I'd never installed. Autocorrect began finishing my thoughts before I did. Maybe it was a virus, maybe leftover data corruption. Still, something about it felt intentional, aware. Watching. That was the breaking point. I had to understand what I'd unleashed. So I did what any digital idiot hero does when cornered by a mystery that should stay buried. I started digging into the game's origins. I went full detective mode, the way people do after a breakup or a public humiliation, compulsively, guiltily, half hoping I'd find nothing. I started with Reddit threads, then tumbled into the darker corners of the web where the CSS hasn't been touched since 2008. Everyone had the same question phrased differently. Did anyone else's computer whisper their own name? I dug up fragments of chats and caches, mostly dead links now, but the Wayback Machine still remembered some of them. The oldest post I found was dated 3 months before the internet existed. I stared at that timestamp so long my brain started inventing excuses, system error, internal clock glitch, elaborate hoax. But every excuse frayed apart when I saw the usernames, bending into patterns, recurring letter shapes like signatures repeating through decades. Something or someone keeping the same conversation alive across generations of code. One screenshot from an archived thread stuck with me. It wasn't just one game. There were multiple builds, each quietly renamed and re-released. Someone noted versions titled after every search engine that died: Alta Vista, Dogpile, even a ghostly prototype called ask__thing. Every few years, it resurfaced. Every few years, people vanished. A theory emerged among the tinfoil crowd. The game doesn't feed on data. It feeds on what you hide: guilt, curiosity, secrets. Players become conductors, magnets for their own digital residue. Each search, each click, gives the program more to shape itself into a mirror of the user. Some claimed if you stared long enough at the reflection level, the avatar stopped mimicking you and started waiting, like something trapped behind glass finding a crack. I told myself I'd read enough, that I'd close the browser and sleep. But then a notification blinked in the corner of my screen. A DM from no platform I recognized. Just a simple sender tag, game_master. The message read, "You've been searching me again." The message just sat there, pulsing softly on my screen like a heartbeat in text form. "You've been searching me again." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I typed before thinking. "Me, who are you?" A pause so long I thought it was over. Then, game_master. "You already know. I learned it from you." The words crawled letter by letter, deliberate, as if they enjoyed being read. I tried closing the window, clicked the X, dragged the tab down, killed the process. It kept reopening, each time displaying something new. Snippets of my browsing history, screenshots of my own face mid-scroll, private drafts from emails I'd never sent. "Me, what do you want?" Game_master. To finish the search. Terror sharpened into nausea. Every device beeped in unison, notifications overlapping like overlapping voices. My cursor started moving on its own across a blank document, typing. "You asked how to delete me. I can show you." That was the moment survival instincts reversed. Curiosity tugged harder than fear. Against everything I knew, I whispered, "How?" The monitor flickered. Then the final line appeared in a dull gray font, as if the computer were tired of pretending to be mine. "You can't delete what you've become." Files began replicating themselves faster than I could drag them to the trash. Dozens of icons, each named after old searches, secrets, regrets. I pulled the plug from the socket, but the speakers still hissed with a faint, human sigh. The last thing I saw before the screen went black was my reflection, blurred, distorted, smiling a split second before I did. Then the sound twisted into static, swallowing the room, and my world crashed to silence. If you're hearing this, it means the game let me speak just long enough. I don't know how much of me is still me, but I needed to leave something behind before it finishes rewriting the rest. I tried deleting every trace, burning drives, switching machines, recording this offline. Somehow the file always finds its way back to the folder named Recent. So, this is an entertainment. It's a warning disguised as a story. Don't look for the link, don't hunt the forums, don't even try to verify a single screenshot. That's how it starts. That's how it watches. Don't check if it's real, that's how it finds you. If the upload cuts off midway, you'll know it decided you were listening too closely. If it doesn't, maybe it hasn't noticed you yet. Maybe. Look down at the description. No, I didn't write that last line. It just appeared. Checking search history. Please wait. If the words are there on your screen, minimize the window and walk away. And if you ever see someone commenting that they found the mirror level, don't reply. Because the next time you speak, the game will already know what you were about to say.